Alright, g'day team. So, I said there was going to be another video. I'm sorry it's a little bit later than it was planned on being, but I'm getting it out as early as I can. My announcement, what I'm planning on doing, call me crazy, I'd say it's probably COVID world induced craziness, but I'm going to buy an airplane, or at least I want to buy an airplane. So, what I thought I would do with this video is show you the process or the research that I'm taking to find one, what's the best airplane for what I want to use, two, the different price points available to me, and then three, potentially what I might be able to do to the airplane when I buy it to make it exactly what I want. There's actually a lot in that, so that might be a few videos. We'll see how we go. I don't want this video to go for too long, but I'll do my best. But I think it's going to be a bit of fun. This is an opportunity so that I can do more flying videos. But I'm excited, so let's get into it. Come along for the ride. First up, we have the Beechcraft Bonanza. It's a 6-seat, low-wing, single-engine aeroplane with a fully retractable tricycle landing gear. It has a Continental IO 520 engine that produces 285 horsepower at 2700 RPM. It was built with standard fuel tanks at 180 litre capacity or long-range tanks with a capacity of 300 litres. With a fuel burn rate of 60 litres an hour, that gives an endurance of 3 hours or 5 hours respectively. The maximum takeoff weight is 1,640 kilos. Empty weight is 909 kilos, making payload with full fuel approximately 500 kilos. Next up is the Beechcraft Baron. It's also a 6-seat, low-wing twin-engine aeroplane. It's fully retractable and has tricycle landing gear. And it's the only twin to make my list, purely because it was my favourite of all the small twins that I got to fly. It has two Continental IO 520 engines that produce 285 horsepower each at 2700 RPM. It was built with standard fuel tanks at 540 litres capacity, or optional long-range tanks with a capacity of 760 litres. With a fuel burn rate of 120 litres an hour, that gives an endurance of 4.5 hours or 6.5 hours respectively. The maximum takeoff weight is 2,455 kilos. The empty weight is 1,528 kilos. And the payload with full fuel is approximately 380 kilos with the long-range tanks, or a much more realistic figure of 540 kilos with the standard tanks. While I like the idea of the Baron, the overhead costs for two engines, the maintenance costs, and the operating hourly rate is far too high for me, so it's already out of the running. Next up is the Cessna 210. The Cessna 210 is a 6-seat, high-wing, single-engine aeroplane with fully retractable tricycle landing gear. And it's also what I consider to be the ultimate single-engine general aviation aeroplane. It has a Continental IO 520 engine at 300 horsepower. It has standard fuel tanks of 340 litres and a fuel burn rate of 60 litres, giving you an endurance of 5.5 hours. The maximum takeoff weight is 1,750, empty weight is about 1,000 kilos, so you get a payload of 500 kilos, which is pretty impressive considering the endurance given to you. The Cessna 210 is quite expensive, and because they are such a versatile aircraft, they hold their value very well. Unfortunately for me, it's going to price it out of my range, but gee, it's a good airplane to look at, and maybe something for me in the future. Moving on, we have the Cessna 206. The 206 is also a 6-seat, high-wing, single-engine aeroplane. It has fixed gear. The two main wheels are fixed, and the nose wheel is steerable. Like the previous aircraft, it has a Continental IO 520 engine and also produces 300 horsepower. It was built with standard fuel tanks at 250 litres capacity or long-range tanks at 320 litres capacity. With a fuel burn rate of 60 litres an hour, that gives an endurance of 4 hours or 5.5 hours respectively. The maximum takeoff weight is 1,636 kilos and the empty weight is 840. Therefore, payload with long-range fuel tanks is approximately 570 kilos, making the 206 the king of payload hauling. And quite often people wonder why you'd get a 206 over a 210. That's the reason. The final aeroplane that we're going to move on to is the Piper Cherokee 6. It's a 6 or 7 seat low wing single engine airplane, also with fixed gear, and like the 206 has a steerable nose wheel. It's the only one in the list of airplanes that has a Lycoming engine, which is an IO 540 that produces 300 horsepower. It was built with standard fuel tanks at a 320 litre capacity, and also with a fuel burn rate of 60 litres an hour. That gives an endurance of 5.5 hours. It has a maximum takeoff weight of 1,540 kilos, an empty weight of 807 kilos, giving you a payload with full fuel of 510 kilos. And it's balanced so well that I've often heard Cherokee 6 owners saying, if you can fit it, you can fly it. I quite enjoyed flying the Piper and the Cessnas as well, so it's going to be a very hard choice in the end. And there you have it, guys. That's the end of my review of my short list of aeroplanes. Now, a few things to talk about before I tell you what I've decided, what my choice is going to be out of those aeroplanes. One thing that I did leave out was the TAS of all those airplanes. So starting from the fastest, obviously, is the Baron. It has a TAS of 180 knots. Then you've got the 210 and the Bonanza, both with 160 knot TAS. And then the 206 and the Cherokee 6 both have a TAS of approximately 135 knots, depending on how you run your engine. As you heard in the video, the Baron is out of the running. It's far too expensive. And while the purchase price might be good, the ongoing costs are just far too high. Moving on to the 210 and the Bonanza and the Cherokee 6, and the 206, they all have really high sale values because of a number of factors. They're just such great airplanes. Not that the Cherokee 6 isn't, but the other three just have a really, really high sale price, which puts it out of the running for me. So, therefore, the only one left on the list, drum roll, is the Cherokee 6. Woo! So I'm looking forward to that. Admittedly, I actually really like the look of the low wing airplanes over the high wing, even though the Cessnas have a really great practicality. I'm really excited about it. There aren't a great deal of Cherokee 6s available for sale right now, so it might take a bit of time to find one, but I'll do my best to get one ASAP so we can get this journey underway. I'm keen to make some good content, I'm keen to go flying a new airplane, and I'm keen to work on it and make it exactly what I want it to be. So I'm excited. I hope you're all going to be excited to go along the journey with me, and let's see what's next, and I'll see you all out there. Bye.